Before we begin, just a quiet note. This is a sleep story. One designed to be listened to as you rest. If you fall asleep before the end, that's the greatest compliment you can give. There's nothing you need to focus on, nothing you need to remember. If you do happen to stay awake, and this story brings you some calm, a gentle like is always appreciated. And if there's a kind of sleep story you'd love to hear next, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. For now, though, all you need to do is get comfortable. Let the day fade, let your breathing slow, and allow the story to carry you wherever sleep finds you. High above the city of Noctura, where the air thinned and the noise softened, a single figure stood watch. They called him Sentinel. He had chosen this rooftop because it gave him a clear view in every direction, because nothing could approach unnoticed, because stillness to him was simply another form of readiness. Below, the city prepared for sleep. Lights dimmed behind curtains. Traffic slowed into a distant hum. Doors closed, gently, one by one. Yet Sentinel remained alert. His senses were tuned outward, listening for disruption, scanning for danger, feeling the city breathe beneath him like a living thing he was sworn to protect. This was how it had always been. Rest came later, if at all. Dreamweaver arrived without announcement. She did not step out of shadow or appear in a flash of light. She simply was, her presence as natural as the night air itself. Her silver threads drifted lazily around her, not weaving, not pulling, just moving as if they, too, were unwinding from a long day. She paused several steps away, giving Sentinel space. "You're still awake," she said softly. Sentinel didn't turn. "I always am." She nodded, unsurprised. "For how long?" she asked. There was a pause. "Long enough," he replied. Dreamweaver stepped closer now, her footsteps barely a sound against the stone. "The city is calm," she said. "You can feel it." "I can," Sentinel answered. "That's why I'm here." She smiled, a quiet smile filled with understanding rather than challenge. "You believe rest begins when danger ends," she said, "but danger doesn't announce when it's finished." Sentinel finally shifted just enough to acknowledge her presence. "If I let go," he said, "even for a moment, that's when things go wrong." Dreamweaver moved to the edge of the rooftop and looked out across the sleeping city. "Do you hear that?" she asked. Sentinel listened. At first, nothing, only the familiar scanning, the endless mental checklist. Then slower things emerged. The distant rhythm of trains, a breeze brushing against buildings, the steady, reassuring pulse of a city at rest. "That sound," she said gently, "is trust." Sentinel said nothing. Dreamweaver turned toward him. "You don't need to sleep tonight," she continued. "I'm not here to take your watch." Her threads glowed faintly, dim and warm. "I'm here to share the weight." For the first time, Sentinel felt something shift, not around him but within, a subtle loosening. A moment where vigilance paused, just enough to notice how tired he truly was. The city below remained peaceful, and for the first time in a long while, the night felt less heavy. Sentinel remained standing at the edge of the rooftop, though something in him had already begun to settle. Not sleep, not rest, just less effort. Dreamweaver did not rush this moment. She knew better. Minds like his did not surrender. They softened. "You've been listening outward for so long," she said quietly. "I wonder if you remember what it's like to listen inward." Sentinel's gaze remained fixed on the horizon. "If I do that," he said, "I might miss something." Dreamweaver's threads drifted closer, stopping well short of touching him. "The city isn't asking for more from you tonight," she replied. "It's asking you to trust what's already in place." She lifted her hand, and a single thread extended, not wrapping, not binding, simply hovering in the space between them. "Look at it," she said. Sentinel glanced down. The thread pulsed slowly, steadily, like a calm breath. "This isn't a barrier," Dreamweaver continued. "It's a pause." The wind moved across the rooftop, cooler now, gentler. Not a warning, just air passing by. Sentinel shifted his weight slightly, adjusting his stance out of habit, then realized he didn't need to. His shoulders lowered by a fraction. Dreamweaver noticed. "You're allowed to stand without bracing," she said softly. "The ground will still be there." Below them, Noctura rested. A late tram glided along its track, a distant door closed with care. Somewhere, someone laughed quietly, then fell silent again. The sounds blended together, losing their edges. "You don't have to stop watching," Dreamweaver said. "Just stop holding the watch so tightly." The thread dimmed further, its glow warm and unfocused. Sentinel felt his breathing change. Not forced, not controlled, just slower. In and out. His thoughts, once sharp and forward-leaning, began to drift back toward the present moment. Not scanning ahead, not replaying the past, just here. "Nothing is required of you right now," Dreamweaver murmured. "No decisions, no readiness." She stepped closer and sat on the rooftop, her posture relaxed, unguarded. "You can sit if you like." Sentinel hesitated, then did. The stone was cool beneath him, solid and steady. He rested his forearms on his knees, realizing how long it had been since he'd allowed himself to settle. The city did not change. No alarm sounded. No shadows moved. Everything continued, just as it should. "This is how it begins," Dreamweaver said. Not with sleep, but with permission. Sentinel exhaled slowly. The night air filled his lungs, then left again, unhurried. And in that quiet rhythm, something long held finally loosened its grip. Time no longer moved the way Sentinel expected it to. The city was still there, he knew that, but it felt farther away now, as though a thin veil had been drawn between him and the world he watched over. Dreamweaver sat nearby, quiet, present. She did not speak. She didn't need to. Her threads drifted slowly through the air, weaving nothing in particular, tracing patterns that were never meant to be remembered. Sentinel's breathing found its own rhythm, in and out. The rooftop felt broader somehow, more spacious, as though the night had expanded to make room for stillness. The sounds of Noctura softened further. The distant hum of the city blended into a single, gentle tone. Not silence, just simplicity. Sentinel's thoughts slowed. They no longer arrived in sharp lines or urgent fragments. They came like clouds instead, forming, drifting, dissolving. He noticed the weight of his hands resting on his knees, the steady support beneath him, the cool night air brushing against his face. Each sensation appeared, then faded, without asking anything in return. Dreamweaver shifted slightly, and a silver thread drifted closer, not touching, simply reminding him that he was not alone in this quiet. "You don't have to follow the thoughts," she whispered at last. "Just let them pass." Sentinel didn't answer. He didn't need to. His awareness widened then softened, like a lens gently losing focus. The edges of the rooftop blurred. The sky above seemed deeper, endless and calm. The stars less like points of light and more like distant, patient witnesses. Breath after breath, moment after moment, the idea of watching began to feel unnecessary. Nothing was pulling at him now. Nothing needed his attention. He wasn't asleep, not yet, but he was no longer fully awake either. He rested in that quiet space where effort fades and presence remains. Dreamweaver rose silently and moved closer, her threads settling into a slow, steady rhythm, matching his breathing, guiding it without directing it. "This is the space where strength returns," she said softly, "where even vigilance is allowed to rest." Sentinel's eyelids grew heavy, not forced, just ready. The city below remained peaceful, held gently by the night itself, and Sentinel drifted, suspended in that calm place between waking and sleep, where nothing is required and everything is held. Sentinel remained still on the rooftop. The night folded gently around him. He no longer watched the city in pieces, no longer tracked lights or shadows or movement. Instead, he sensed it as a whole, steady, breathing, safe. Dreamweaver stood nearby, her presence growing softer with each passing moment. Her silver threads dimmed, their glow now barely more than moonlight. She did not say goodbye. She knew better than to mark an ending. The night carried Sentinel now. His breathing was slow, deep, unforced. The tension that had once held him upright had loosened completely, replaced by the quiet certainty that nothing was being missed. The city did not need him to stay awake. It was already resting. Dreamweaver took a final step back, her form blending gently into the darkness, her threads dissolving into the calm air, not disappearing, just no longer needed. Sentinel remained, resting, and the night continued. Now, there is nothing left to follow, no story to hold on to, no moment to anticipate, just this quiet. If you notice your breathing, let it be slow and easy, in and out. If thoughts arise, you don't need to stop them. Let them drift by, the way Sentinel let the city drift beneath him. Your body already knows how to rest. Your shoulders can soften, your jaw can loosen, your hands can grow heavy and warm. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to do. Like Sentinel, you are allowed to set the watch down. The night will hold you. The world will continue. Everything important will wait. With each breath, you can sink a little deeper into the mattress beneath you, into the quiet around you, into the calm within you. Sleep doesn't need effort. It arrives when you stop reaching for it. So let go. Let the day fade gently away. And when sleep comes, slowly, naturally, welcome it without thought. You are safe. You are supported. You are allowed to rest. Good night and sweet dreams.